I had told Dimwit, which if there's anybody who wants to know how it goes, I can point you to a place on the internet where I'm telling it. Story I've been telling for the longest time and always haul out. I told it at a residency. I perform when I go to school, or when I went to schools. I would do a show first, and then I would go into the classes and teach the kids to tell different stories than the ones I tell. I told Dimwit's a Three Brothers story, and the kid came up and said, I know a story about that guy. It's a family story. It's a story we tell in my family. And I definitely wanted him to tell it, and he did tell it. He told it, and he told it, and he told it. He must have told it 15 or 20 times, and every time he told it, it was good. And he would have the kids spread down around him like that, and the kids would be completely his. That connection, the whole thing, nobody was looking away, right there with the story. It's a simple story. And he told it very simply. He didn't do any of the stuff. I didn't try to make him do any of the stuff that I do. And I have just started trying to tell it myself after all these years. And I told it to Leanne a couple times, and she didn't mind it. There were three brothers. There was a big brother and a medium brother and a little brother, and everybody called him Simpleton. And the three brothers were walking down the road, and they came to an anthill, and the big brother said, "Let's squish 'em." And the middle brother said, "Yeah, let's do." But the little brother, Simpleton, he said, "No," he said, "the ants aren't bothering us. Let's let the ants be." And the queen of the ants came out and said to Simpleton, "Thank you, Simpleton. You did something for me. Maybe I can do something for you sometime too." And the two other brothers, they agreed to go along with Simpleton, and they all went down the road. And they walked along, and they walked along, and they came to a place where there was a gray lake, all big trees all around it, and there was a duck swimming around in the middle. And the big brother said, "Let's shoot him and eat him." And the middle brother said, "Yeah, let's do." But Simpleton said, "No," he said, "the duck's not bothering us. Let's let the duck be. We can find something else to eat." And the duck came up and said, "Thank you, Simpleton. You did something good for me. Maybe I could do something for you sometime too." And the two brothers agreed to go along with Simpleton, and they all went down the road. And they came to a place where there was a big tree, and a branch stuck out, and hanging from the branch there was a beehive. And the big brother said, "Let's smoke 'em out." And the middle brother said, "Yeah, let's do." But the youngest brother, Simpleton, he said, "No," he said, "they're not bothering us. Let's let the bees be." And the queen of the bees came out and said, "Bzz, thank you, Simpleton. Bzz, maybe I can do something for you too someday." Bzz. And the two brothers agreed to go along with Simpleton, and they all walked down the road. And they walked until just before dark they came to a castle. And in front of the castle was the king, crying. And the three brothers says, "Why are you crying, Mr. King?" And the king says, "Oh," he says, "my three youngest daughters have been plunged into a deep sleep, and they can't get woke up unless somebody performs 3 tasks, and nobody's been able to do them." And the brother said, "Well, we can help you, Mr. King. You just tell us what to do." And the king said, "Well, for my first task, or I should say your first task, you've got to go into the deep forest in the deep part of the night and pick up 100 pearls from off the forest floor. And you must do this before daybreak, or you will be turned to stone." And the big brother says, "I can do that, Mr. King. I can do that in half the time." And he ran into the forest. And it was dark now, but he started picking up pearls. And it wasn't very easy. He had to sort of look around, and they found one in the leaves, and then a little later he found another one, and then quite a while later he found another one, and then a long while later he found another one. And his eyes were starting to hurt from trying to see them in the dark. He says, "You know what, I'm just going to rest my eyes. I'm just going to lie down here and rest my eyes for a few minutes. That's what I'm going to do." And he lay down, and he closed his eyes, and he fell asleep. And dawn came, and he was stone. And then the middle brother says, "I can do it." He says, "I can do what my big brother couldn't do." And he went into the forest in the night, and he started picking up pearls, and he picked up one, and then a while later he picked up another one. Searching around, found another one. Long time later, he found that his eyes were bleary and tired. He says, I'm just going to lie down and rest my eyes for a minute. Lay down, fell asleep, and dawn came, and he was stone. And then Dimwit said, well, he said, I can try. And he went into the forest, and he started picking up pearls. And he found one, and another, a long while later another. He was just starting to think about how his eyes were hurting, and the queen of the ants came out and said, don't worry, Simpleton. She said, we'll find your pearls for you. Just lie down and rest yourself. And he did. He laid down and he closed his eyes. And while he was asleep, all the ants went scurrying around through the leaves on the forest, on the floor of the forest, and picking pearls and pearls and pearls. And they filled his cap with 100 pearls. And when he woke up, there were all the pearls in his cap. And he picked it up, and it was dawn. He picked it up and he ran to the king. And the king said, thank you, Simpleton. That's wonderful. Now, for your second task, you must go to the center of the great pond, and you must dive to the bottom of it and find the ring that my wife dropped there 3 summers ago. So Simpleton went to the pond, and he took off his shoes, and he took off his socks, and he rolled up his pants, and he took off his jacket, and then up came the duck. And he says, never mind, Simpleton. He says, I'll find the ring for you. You just stay right there and stay dry. And the duck swam into the middle of the lake and took a deep breath and dove down to the bottom and scurried around, dabbling, and found it, went back up, took a deep breath, and then swam straight to the shore, ran up the shore, jumped in Simpleton's lap, and dropped the ring into his pocket, into his hand, and Simpleton hugged it, got all wet, petted it for a little while, thanked it, and then he went back to the king with the ring. And the king said, thank you, Simpleton. This is wonderful. Now for your last task, this is the last task. You must climb into the highest tower and go into the chamber where my daughters lie asleep and find out which one of them ate something sweet before she went to bed. And Simpleton went to the tower, and he climbed up and up and up and up till he got to the very top. Took a moment to catch his breath, opened the door, and just as he came into the chamber where the princesses lay asleep, the queen of the bees came flying in through the window, and she said, Zzz, never mind, Simpleton, Zzz, I happen to know one of these girls was eating honey, Zzz, and I'll find out which one of them was eating honey. Zzz. And she went to the first princess and landed on her lips. Not this one, not this one. Landed on the second one's lip. Not this one, not this one. Landed on the last one's lip. This one, this one. This one's been eating honey. And she flew out the window. And Simpleton went to that princess and shook her awake gently. And she was startled and a little afraid, but he told her what was going on. And just then, as her sisters were starting to wake up, and they were yawning and stretching, and just then, the king came huffing and puffing up the stairs and into the room and says, thank you, Simpleton. You did it. You did all 3 tasks. My daughters are awake. Now you get 3 wishes. What are your wishes? And Simpleton said, well, for my first wish, I wish that my brothers would no longer be stone. And for my second wish, I wish that we would all 3 of us marry all 3 of your daughters. And for my final wish, I wish that we should all live happily ever after. And that's what happened. The brothers were no longer stone. The 3 of them married the 3 princesses. Simpleton married the youngest because she was the sweetest. And all 6, everybody lived happily ever after.